r/creepyencounters. Evening_her historian says. Followed by man walking home from the gym. Lengthy, perhaps predictable and far too familiar for some of us. Post because this happens way too often to people who are followed home by strangers, and I just wanted to vent about it. I 26 female, recently moved from the US to the Balkans for a summer legal internship. After a few days of getting settled in my home for the summer, I decided to sign up for a gym nearby my apartment to serve as a self-care ritual and blow off steam after tough work days. Coming home from my first workout at the new gym, endorphins on 100, I noticed at a crosswalk that a man across from this busy street, where I was stopped, was staring at me. Now this is not super uncommon, as I have found in my new home, and I have gotten used to dealing with occasional male stares, but they are usually very brief. This guy, however, was not looking away. I stared back for a full beat, so I know he knows I saw him, hoping that would be the end of it, and then turned my head away to continue down the street, trying to avoid a creepy feeling that this wasn't the end of the interaction. From what I could tell, he didn't cross the lengthy street to meet me, and probably just continued down from his side. Next thing I know, about 2 minutes later, I'm at a crosswalk, about to cross, when I see him in my peripheral next to me at the stop. How he crossed the street and sped up to meet me so quickly is either a reflection of his cunning and athletic prowess or my general lack of observational skills. Standing next to me now, he is still staring at me, but I try not to tip him off to my noticing this. I take off as fast as I can when it's safe to cross the crosswalk, and naturally, he matches my pace, a step or so behind me, still staring. Here I find myself in a familiar situation that I imagine many who have been followed also find themselves in. It is a critical juncture, if you will, where you ask, is this someone following me, or a silly misunderstanding? I begin to ask myself, am I overreacting? I have been followed many a time before, sadly, and so I have found that the best way to handle it is try to cut the baby in half, so to speak. I give them the benefit of the doubt to prove to me they aren't doing what I fear they are doing, while also trying to avoid any situation that would escalate the danger or cue him off to where I'm going. Trust but verify. So I decide to zip quickly toward another street, not my own. We were like 1 block from my apartment by the time I noticed him at the crosswalk with me, in the hopes that he would prove me wrong and not continue to follow me. This was a busy intersection, and there were about 6 different streets to follow from the crosswalk. He follows me down this random street, a choice where there is truly only residential buildings, no stores or restaurants he could be headed toward, to explain him choosing this street, unless he lived nearby. I do something I have done before when followed. To test the other person, I slow down and speed up my pace randomly to see if they match mine, or like a normal person heading somewhere, try to walk by me, as there was plenty of room to do so on this street. Within a block or so I realized he was definitely following, definitely still staring, but not only that, with every few steps, I felt his presence, keeping pace, was also subtly getting closer and closer to me. The sun is setting at this point, and we are walking towards a part of town I don't know as well. The spirit moves, and I decide to make a break for it. I slow down as slow as I have gone throughout this whole pursuit, checking my peripheral, and jettison myself across the street until I get to the other side. I look back once I'm there to see that he is now looking across the street and moving toward it to follow me more, but this time, I give him the meanest glare I can muster and reach for my bag, as if to suggest that I reaching for pepper spray or something, hadn't bought some yet in reality, because I had just moved to town a few days before. He notices the gestures, makes eye contact, stops, and then literally turns his head away to feign looking at the numbers on the street, like he was lost, or looking for a specific spot, as if he hasn't been. Slowing up and speeding down with me for the past 10 minutes, not looking anywhere but at my backside. Acting 0/10 for capturing the innocence of someone definitely not creepily following a woman half his age back from the gym for 20+ minutes. He continues to pretend to look around, glance back at me, look around some more, glance back at me, and when he looks away for the third time, I decide now is the time to truly make a break for it. I begin booking it down the opposite street, while occasionally peering back to see if he kept following. I take a bunch of well-lit, busy streets, employing random unnecessary turns, as I have when I have been followed before. Eventually, once I check out the whole street and feel confident I have lost him, I finally calculate my way back home. The next day, I asked a friend from work, who is local, to take me to get some pepper spray. I bought a mini version, the smallest size, that can easily fit a purse. The pepper spray's brand name for a bottle of this size is literally called Madam, which is emblazoned across the side of the bottle in Isa_A says, "Great thinking with the looking for my pepper spray gestures, you did good. I'm definitely learning from this, although I don't think I'd have it in me to openly stare back. I'm not going to flatter myself thinking I'll be followed much either anymore, a pregnant lady almost in my 40s, so hopefully I'll never have to." You have very nice reflexes and a great way of writing. r/creepyencounters. Tanashiro says, "A unknown man wanted to walk my friend home. Last week something creepy happened to one of my friends, F20. It was the beginning of the night, and she went to a print shop to print business cards. Since the shop is near her building, she was on foot. While walking home, a unknown man approached her, asking how was she doing. She thought he was going to rob her, but instead he asked if he could walk her home. Confused and scared, she asked why. He then put his arm on her shoulder and simply answered why not. Luckily she was close enough to a restaurant, so she took his arm off her shoulder and waited in the restaurant until a family member picked her up." Youstink 1990 says, "Sounds like a smart friend." r/creepyencounters. Alba_Valen says, "Worst date/meet ever. A few weeks ago I was talking with a guy I've met on Insta, and we decided to meet. To impress him, I wore a cute short dress where it showed my legs. We went for a walk, and I was the only one who was trying to talk. He was being quiet for most of the time, and I noticed that he kept staring at my legs, and it made me uncomfortable. Suddenly he asked me if he could take pics of my legs, and I thought he was joking, so I just laughed. Then I noticed that he was being serious about that, and I got scared and uncomfortable. I made up an excuse to leave. When I left I saw him taking pictures of my legs, but I ignored because all I wanted is to go home. When I got home I couldn't believe what happened and started laughing. Then a few hours later he sent me some pics that he took of my legs. He said he'd pay me if I let him take more pictures, but I declined and blocked his contact. I never saw him again, and this whole thing was so weird that I just can't laugh about this whole situation." Jaminix says, "You met a guy on Instagram, and it went bad? Who could have thought?" I Love Animals 34 says, "That guy was definitely a creep." Willing_coconut 809 says, "Creepy." Orphan_Izzy says, "I hope he at least bought you dinner first. What a total creep." Author account 5252 says, "The guy's a creep, but at least you can say you've got some nice gams." r/creepyencounters. Pandaba says, "Creepy student at my university. A guy at my campus has been apparently keeping an eye out for me. I don't know if has been stalking me, but all I do know is that he intentionally came over to my study area today and wanted to get to know me. According to him, he has seen me around here a few times. He asked me if he could sit at my table. I was dumb enough to let him sit at my table and not leave earlier, because as it turns out, he ended up developing an attraction towards me. I had a hard time focusing on my notes/laptop because he made me feel awkward and uncomfortable, not to mention he kept peering over at me every 10 seconds or so. As I was about to tell him that I have a boyfriend, he ejaculated inside of his pants. I was in complete disgust, so I immediately left the library. I now feel afraid to go to one of my favorite study areas because of this creep. The student also tried to play footsie with me, but I kept pushing my feet away. I told my boyfriend about this whole incident, and he was appalled and concerned. I just hope I don't ever see this weirdo again. Princess Penguinus says, if you know his name, please report this to campus police. It may help future victims if they are able to see he has a pattern of behavior. Revolution Moa says, this is sad. I'm so sorry this happened. If you feel comfortable, I would absolutely report him to the school. Mariah, 678,910 says, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Please report him. OK_spinach_8412 says, report him to your university. I'm so sorry that happened to you. OK Geologist 1194 says, please report, please stay safe. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.